This is Spotagenius. Hi, and welcome today to this Spotagenius podcast, where we have conversation about innovation, inventions, new products coming out, and product development, plus a whole lot more all around genius ideas. In this episode, we'll do a segment called I Saw It on Shark Tank. This is a review of a product shown on a recent episode of the Shark Tank TV show, and we want to know what you think about the idea or the deal. Then there's punch card rewards. Can you name that genius? Identifying a great inventor from history. What's a UFI? Plus a segment we call Genius, Not Genius. It's going to be something quirky, to be sure. I'm Hal, your host, so let's spot a genius. It's our first episode, and here's an overview of the content shared on Spotagenius. This is where we spot genius things, ideas, inventions, and cool innovation. We also spotlight entrepreneurs in various stages of project development so we can keep up with all the things that are coming out soon. So maybe right away you're thinking of genius things that you've seen posts about, or even have genius ideas for products that you think need to be elevated. And then there's the stories. The hard knock stories, the eureka moments, and stories that inspire us all to have ideas for new products. On Spotagenius, we talk about why or how one product approach might work better compared to what's already out there. If you like a certain company's product and want to suggest a guest to interview who represents that brand or that product, please offer your feedback of who that is and what the product features are. And if you know of any inventors who want to tout their newest product, this would be an ideal opportunity to benefit from their genius innovations. So please pass the info along. The email address here is spotagenius@gmail.com. That's spotagenius as one word at Gmail. On a recent episode of Shark Tank, I saw this thing that's a dog bed for humans called Pluto. Did you see it? It's pretty much a giant-sized dog bed like for a Great Dane, but for people to nap in. The Pluffle is one of those quirky products and can potentially be a huge hit, and I wonder, would you buy one? What do you think of a dog bed for humans, anyway? In an audio exchange from Shark Tank of their negotiations with the sharks, Robert repeatedly interrupts by saying, "But it's a dog bed for humans."
It's a dog bed for humans.
An obvious challenge to the concept, and he wasn't buying it. He didn't invest. But the best part is when Mark and Laurie offered the guys $200,000 for 20%, with both sharks going in on Pluffle, so they did obviously invest. After about 10 seconds of deliberation, the entrepreneurs accepted that offer and left the tank with an incredible deal. So what do you think of Pluffle? Check out the Shark Tank video if you haven't seen it. Comment here with your thoughts on the dog bed for humans. Would you say that a rewards program like fuel rewards or credit card miles or maybe a punch card loyalty program falls into the genius category? Isn't incentive kind of a genius thing? Well, I'm asking because I recently saw a video by the Global Cycling Network on YouTube where 4 friends agreed to use a coffee shop's loyalty card where you get a free coffee after you purchase 10 coffees, so that the 11th one is free. But the real catch was they had to drink all those in a day. That's 11 coffee drinks in a single day. What made it funny to me was that they were riding bikes from one place to another and stopped at each coffee shop after about 25 minutes of riding. So in the video, they ended up cycling 120 miles, stopping about every 12 miles for a fresh coffee. And then a scone with it, a brownie, plus something else to have with their coffee, which really made it an adventure, not to mention the crazy caffeine overload. So did the experiment work? Well, their arrival time to the finish of their cycling ride was faster, maybe even a record, who knows. But after their 11th coffee, the free one, they weren't sure if it really was a reward at that point. Now we get to a segment of the Spotagenius podcast called Name That Genius. I'm going to read a quote by a famous inventor from history, and you can try to guess who this is who made the quote. So let's see if you can name that genius. Who was the genius who said, quote, "I needed no models, drawings, or experiments. I could picture them all as real in my mind. Thus, I have been led to evolve what I considered a new method of materializing inventive concepts and ideas, which is radically opposite to the purely experimental." End of quote. This inventor worked reworked, fine-tuned, and perfected inventions in his mind, thereby solving the engineering problems well before he ever turned these into reality. He believed it was a total waste of time, money, and energy to carry out and test a crude idea without first an intense visualization stage. So who is this inventor? Can you name that genius? I'll reveal who it is in just a few moments to see if you're correct with your guess. Here's an invention story I'd like to know if you identify with it. I recently found this drawing that I made from 1993. I had done it on graph paper. It's like of a flying craft that you could guide by remote control, according to the notes, and it looked a lot like a flying saucer. Like you might call it a UFO, and it was labeled UFI. My sketch, well, it's pretty detailed, shows it with fan-bladed motors for lift, and each blade assembly could tilt independent on the craft body. This is close to about 30 years ago. I called it the UFI, which stands for You Fly It. The more modern equivalent today might be called a drone. My version was called a UFI, and I thought it would never be made, but I do feel like it was a visionary moment for me to think of a concept that had not been done before and that later has been made and marketed to this huge scale with drones from toy models all the way to military uses. It might have been great to capitalize on it, but I do have a bit of satisfaction that my idea for the UFI was realistic. Okay, now for the identity of the inventor from our Name That Genius segment. That genius was Nikola Tesla, and as he said, he didn't go through a typical invention experiment process. He would completely visualize the end invention in his mind and work from that visualization to his product model. Pretty amazing. And now our final segment of Spotagenius is called Genius, Not Genius, where we describe an invention that someone has made and you can decide if you think whether it's genius or not. Now, just for the sake of disclosure, it takes a lot of brilliance and determination to create these inventions and products, so our intent is not to slight anyone's product, but to bring attention to the novel contraptions and creativity that people have, and follow through on to get all kinds of innovations out there for us to try and enjoy. So here we go with Genius, Not Genius. What I'm looking at here is a photo someone posted of a combination bicycle and lawnmower. I'll describe it. Picture a mountain bike, like the kind you ride trails on. It has shock absorbers at the front forks and another shock in the rear center below the seat. It has regular pedals, not a motor of any kind, and a nice comfy saddle. What's different is that at the front, instead of having a wheel like in the back, it has old-school cutting blades on a lower wheel axle. In the photo, the inventor replaced the front wheel and tire with a motorless mulching blade that spins as the mower is pushed forward, or in the case is pedaled forward. The kind of funny thing is that the mower part is attached to the forks with the plastic zip ties. So I'm not sure how durable that contraption is, but at least in the picture it seems to be ready for some grass cutting in that small space. So based on this description, would you think that it's genius or not genius? The world may never know, but I'd like to hear what you think. So do you have a story to tell or something to sell? Maybe you know of something that's hit the market that's kind of a newer version of an older concept. Connect with us here at Spotagenius, and we'll share it in an email or maybe in a clip that we can post, and other followers can appreciate it as well. The email here is spotagenius@gmail.com. That's spotagenius, all as one word, @gmail. We look forward to connecting with you here next time. I'm Hal, your host. So until then, let's spot those genius ideas.